Hey everyone, it's Tuesday, June 24th. Thanks for being with us. I'm Benit Brach here in the Vancouver newsroom, and here are your top headlines this afternoon. Well, it's less than a year to go before Vancouver welcomes the FIFA World Cup, and today the province released numbers on how much it could all cost BC. So to host 7 matches, it says the gross hosting costs could be within the range of $532 to $624 million. So that's around at least $43 million more than that highest cost estimate last year. But the province says that those costs, they are expected to be offset by upwards of $478 million in revenue and recoveries. And it says that these estimates increased as those plans developed, especially for safety, security, and transportation. And Interior Health has confirmed a single case of measles in Kamloops. The health authority says it's following up directly with people who are known to have been exposed to the case as part of normal contact tracing. The risk to the broader public is considered low, but some of the listed exposure locations include a Denny's restaurant, Aberdeen Mall, Earl's Restaurant, and Shoppers Drug Mart. Now, all of those possible exposures took place on June 16th, and Interior Health also listed the Castles and Cottages Boutique on June 18th as another possible exposure location. Those symptoms include fever, dry cough, runny nose, red eyes, and a full body rash. It says this is the first confirmed measles case in the Interior in 2025. And tensions remain high when it comes to the Israel and Iran conflict here. And last night, U.S. President Donald Trump said that he had brokered a ceasefire between the two countries. But shortly after, Israel accused Iran of launching rockets into Israeli territory. In response, the Israeli Defense Force struck back with an attack on Iran's capital. Now, President Trump strongly reacted to the breakdown of the ceasefire this morning, lashing out at both of the countries before boarding a plane to go to the NATO summit. And one political scientist told the Early Edition this morning that the U.S.'s involvement in the conflict violated international law and that NATO will need to stand up to Trump.
Everyone is trying to avoid provoking Donald Trump, especially now that Donald Trump has demonstrated his willingness to use overwhelming force. I think at some point the rest of the NATO alliance is going to have to come together and say collectively that enough is enough, that we'll have to stand up to Donald Trump. But clearly there's no unanimity on that position right now.
Now, shortly after boarding Air Force One, Trump posted online saying the ceasefire between Israel and Iran was back on. Let's go to Abbotsford now, where the Abbotsford Canucks are the Calder Cup champions. They beat the Charlotte Checkers 3-2 last night in Game 6. And take a look at some of those celebrations on South Fraser Way.
Let's go! Edmonton couldn't do it, but we did it! We did it! Let's go!
Pretty amazing. 4 years of following it.
I see it.
It's amazing. Very exciting. We're season ticket members and we've been here since day one. Yep.
All right, what's next? Well, the mayor says they're working on an official celebration. That's what we have for you so far. I'm Benit Brach. Stay with us. BC Today is coming up next.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Hosting next year's FIFA World Cup will cost up to $624 million. The province says that will be offset by up to $478 million in estimated revenues. What's your reaction, and are the benefits worth the cost? That's up first. Plus, this week is full of high school graduation parties and proms, dinners and dances. Let us know who you're celebrating, what are your own prom memories, and if you're a grad, call us and let us know what you plan to do after graduation and what it means to be part of the class of 2025. We're just under 1 year away from Vancouver hosting the FIFA World Cup as part of 16 host cities across Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. Well, this morning, the provincial government announced an updated cost to planning, staging, and hosting the games. And the new price tag, it's now estimated to be between $532 to $624 million. Last year, organizers estimated the cost between $483 to $581 million. The province says the estimates increased as plans developed over the year, particularly for safety and security and transportation. The province says those costs will be offset by revenues, estimated at $448 to $478 million, also higher than previously thought. Well, we're asking you, what do you think of the cost of hosting the 2026 FIFA World Cup? Is it worth the benefit? You can call us 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can also hit pound 690 on your cell phone. My guest is Mario Canseco, a pollster and president of Research Co. Hi, Mario. Thanks for being with us.
My pleasure, Michelle. Great to be here.
Now, you've been polling along the way. What have you learned about how British Columbians generally have felt about the FIFA World Cup coming to Vancouver?
Well, there's certainly a level of excitement that goes beyond soccer fans. Obviously, people who like the sport are thrilled with the possibility of watching some of the matches. Will be guaranteed a couple of matches with Team Canada, so that's also something that makes people happy. But the level of support for doing this was particularly high last year. Even people who don't like the sport believe that it's a good opportunity. It really brings back some of the memories of what we had during 2010 with the Winter Olympics in the way in which people are looking forward to this event. And I mean, the numbers are significantly higher now than they were last week, but it's part of the complexity that the security of an event of this magnitude is going to bring to our city.
And let's just go through some of the numbers the province released this morning. And so that's up to $624 million. That is broken down among the City of Vancouver, public sector service providers. So that would include parties like TransLink, so these would be third-party entities, as well as PAVCO that owns BC Place and the province as well. So the estimate's now $532 to $624 million. And they also say estimated revenues will also be up. So we're asking our audience, what do you think of that? Is it worth the cost? 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. Rob is calling us from Vancouver. Hi, Rob.
Hello.
Hi, what are your thoughts on these costs?
Well, from past reporting I've read on CBC and other sources, when it comes to the economic cost of, say, building a convention center, building a stadium, hosting conventions and big sporting events, Olympics, whatever, usually if there's any taxpayer input, it is not work out to be economically beneficial. The supposed economic benefits are overstated. They're hard to measure. That said, I mean, maybe this goes beyond economics. Maybe it's a great thing for cities and sports fans. It doesn't do much for non-sports fans. So I'd like to hear what your guest thinks of that. That my understanding is the economics usually don't work out. I think it benefits. I think the people who make money are the rich, and we kind of subsidize the group of people that are soccer fans, and everyone else is just kind of like footing the bill for this.
So you don't think even, I mean,
if you're big into theater, or other types of entertainment, you often get the short stick. It's like male pro sports is like the thing we will spend so much money on.
And what do you think of, I mean, you touched on it a little bit beyond the sport. Maybe there's, the atmosphere and just that feeling of Vancouver's a place to be. Might that benefit the city?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of it just economically. Maybe that's too narrow. But then again, I think, well, there's sports fans love it, and everyone else, couldn't care less, right? So, like, I don't really care.
I'm guessing. Yeah, you're in Vancouver. I'm guessing you're not going to be making it out to any of the games.
No, I'd be more interested in seeing like the female soccer game. I might go to one of those. Like, to me, that's interesting and different. And male pro sports is doing fine. Doesn't need help from anybody.
Rob, really good to hear from you. Thank you very much. So, Mario, is it fair to look at it from that economic cost or economic benefit, as he's saying? It's not everybody who benefits, but are there things like that? Yeah, the feeling of excitement around a city, does that generate more tourism or revenue and that kind of thing? Like, are there long-term benefits that you can look at?
I understand the frustration completely, because here we are almost a couple of decades out of the Vancouver Winter Olympics, and we don't have a full accounting of what happened. Some of the files from VANOC are still secret. We're not going to see them until another 40 or 30 or 50 years. It's part of the complexity, and this is what leaves many residents of the city with a bad taste in their mouths. The notion that you went through all sorts of sacrifices to allow people from the Olympic Committee to use the lanes and to do whatever they wanted, and you suddenly changed everything in the city for a couple of weeks, and you don't actually have a full accounting of what transpired. FIFA tends to be just as secretive as the Olympic Committee, if not more so. So it's going to be tough to actually look at all of these numbers at the end of the World Cup and see if it makes sense. But I can understand how something like this would happen. VANOC was very open and very adamant about the fact that they were going to do a full accounting of everything that happened during the Winter Olympics. But some of those files are still sealed.
15 years later.
15 years later.
And this comes at a time when BC and so many other places, the world really is facing economic uncertainty, right? Here in Canada and British Columbia, the impact of the U.S. tariffs, the uncertainty around that. We had a budget earlier this year that was very much about maintaining crucial services. So how does this fit into that sense of tightening up the purse strings?
Well, it's going to be difficult to explain, because when we look at the moment in which Canada was awarded these matches, we didn't think Donald Trump was going to come back to the White House. We didn't have a conflict with Iran. I think this is going to bring in a situation that is going to be very difficult for Canadian and BC authorities. You have a situation in the United States where citizens of specific countries cannot go to the United States. So you start to wonder what is going to happen if a Middle Eastern country or a mainly Muslim country is playing a World Cup match in Seattle. The other issue is what's going to happen with Iran. Are they going to be disqualified even though they've already qualified for this? And how is that going to affect some of the planning that has to be there when it comes to security? I think BC Place might be ready to host Team Canada. We just saw it last week when Canada played Honduras and everything went fine. But are we ready to welcome matches featuring an England or a Netherlands or an Iran or a Serbia, where the possibility of clashes between fans is going to be significantly higher than it was last week when Hondurans and Canadians were just taking pictures with each other?
Asking for your thoughts on the updated cost estimate to hosting the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Vancouver, one of the 16 host cities. So now the province says that is up to the range between $532 million to $624 million. They say that has increased, particularly because of safety, security, and transportation costs. They also say that will be offset by revenues estimated at $448 to $478 million. Okay, our numbers again, 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. We're also live on TikTok. Welcome to people watching us on TikTok Live, and you can leave your comments there. We'll put them into the show too. Our email address is bctoday@cbc.ca. Right now, let's go back to our callers. Ron is next in Surrey. Hi, Ron. What are your thoughts on the cost to hosting the World Cup?
I don't see any pluses. I see FIFA making a ton of money, but everybody is going to be out of pocket. What are the benefits?
Yeah, you don't see any benefits. Okay.
Well, we could watch it on TV and not lose $250 million. There's going to be traffic jams. There's going to be, I don't see the pluses compared to the minuses. And the minuses are going to hang around for a long, long time.
Ron, thank you so much. That goes back to, Mario Canseco's point about still wondering about the true costs of hosting the 2010 Winter Games. Now, from the province, what they say, this is part of the statement that they sent out this morning. Spencer Chanda-Herbert, the Minister of Tourism, Arts, Culture and Sports, says hosting the FIFA World Cup 26 is an extraordinary opportunity to showcase our province to the world. And we're determined to do it in a way that reflects who we are and what we value. Okay, and they also talk about the economic benefits of hosting 7 matches. They include more than 1 million additional out-of-province visitors between 2026 and 2031. So that coming from the tourism minister today. Ron, thank you so much for the call. James on the line now from Spence's Bridge. Hi, James. Your thoughts on the cost of hosting the World Cup?
Well, good day. The costs are awfully high, and very high, costly sporting events should go to a democratic referendum. The people should decide how the money is spent and whether or not they want such extravagant sporting events. The $600 million potentially could have been used to take the homeless people off the streets. You know, it's the politicians making the decisions for the people, and they obviously want to keep the homeless on the streets and instead have a bunch of people who have a good time at a soccer game. Everything needs to go to a democratic referendum when there is hundreds of millions of dollars being spent, which aren't a true long-term investment. There's nothing solid that's going to produce revenues into the future. So.
Yeah, Ron, James, thank you very much for the call. And that was something that was talked about with the 2010 games as well, right? Looking at a referendum to gauge public support. Mario?
I do remember there was a vote. It wasn't binding, but we did have a vote related to whether the Olympics should be here. There's other jurisdictions where the referenda have been binding, and they've led to the demise of organizing committees. It happened, I believe it was Vienna or Salzburg in Austria, and it also happened in Denver, Colorado in the United States, where the residents had a say and they essentially chose not to host Winter Games.
We have an email from Jan who writes, this event should be completely funded by private money. Absolutely no public money should be provided. Basil is our next caller now in Port Coquitlam. Hi, Basil. What are your thoughts on the cost of hosting the FIFA World Cup next year?
Yeah, thanks for this topic. Well, it's a great game. Soccer, all you need is an area to play and a ball. Apart from, like hockey, all the equipment you need, and basketball, you need a gym and so forth. But I can see why the world accepts this game and loves this game, because you don't need much at all to play and have fun. But there is a big but there. The economic cost is great. There's no dispute about that. But there's far more important crisis in our world than that, and that's the environmental crisis. And the damage it would be to the environment is horrendous, having these games between Mexico and States and Canada. If it was all focused in one city, it wouldn't be quite so bad. But all the coaches and all the players traveling from Mexico to Canada and the States for different games all over is a tremendous cost. And all the people traveling in their cars wanting to come to this beautiful game, the environmental cost is horrendous, and that's what my concern is.
Yeah, interesting point, James. I don't think you'll get an argument on the beauty of of the game itself from Mario there. I know you're a sports fan, Mario. But yeah, interesting point there about the environmental cost and given the number of host cities as well. Thanks so much for the call. And pardon me, that was Basil in Vancouver. Mario, really appreciate your time. As always, thanks so much.
My pleasure, anytime.
Mario Canseco, president of Research Co. Much more on this story, of course, throughout the day here on CBC. Let's stay with sports now. And good news from the Abbotsford Canucks, who are now Calder Cup champions. They beat the Charlotte Checkers 3-2 last night in Game 6. And here are some of the celebrations on South Fraser Way.
Let's go!
Wow. Jubilant. I'd call that. Wow, they get noisy over there. Way to celebrate. Congratulations. And the mayor of Abbotsford says they are working on an official celebration. And this is the first time a Vancouver Canucks farm team has ever won the Calder Cup. Congratulations to them. One more email on the FIFA World Cup. Joseph writes, the numbers for large-scale events don't make sense to me anymore. It's a massive taxpayer investment that is never really recouped. Joseph, thanks very much. BC Today at cbc.ca. All right, we're going to keep taking your thoughts by email on the FIFA World Cup and the cost just announced by the provincial government. And right now, though, we are dedicating our show to graduation season. Yes, it is high school grad season. Students have been donning their fanciest prom outfits, walking across commencement stages, turning those tassels over and onto the next chapter of their lives. And they're heading out into a very complex world. Let's not forget, they started out their high school careers in the midst of a pandemic. So it makes you wonder, what does it mean to be a part of the grad class of 2025? We're going to find out right now. We'd love to hear from you as well. Is there a high school graduate in your life? What are your own prom memories? If you yourself are a grad of 2025, maybe you're watching us on TikTok, love to hear your comments, asking you, what does it mean for you to be part of the grad class of 2025? How are you celebrating? And what are your plans for the future? 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, or you can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. You can also email us, bctoday@cbc.ca. And again, if you're watching us on TikTok Live, do feel free to leave a comment there. I have two high school grads fresh off their prom last night joining me now. Elizabeth Mani and Corrina Cardinal are grade 12 students from the Langley Fine Arts School. And Lizzie and Corrina, welcome to the show. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
How are you feeling this morning or this afternoon, I guess? Yeah.
It is afternoon now. I'm a bit tired. We had our dry grad last night, which was a super great event after our prom. But very energy consuming, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and go ahead. Yeah, same?
Yeah. Tired, but very excited to be here.
You know, my kids went to their prom last night, and so I was feeling some of that same excitement. I can't imagine what it was like to go on into the dinner dance and onto the dry grad as you were talking about.
Yes.
Lizzie, what are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of this school year I came to Langley Fine Arts in grade 12 and only grade 12. I originally grew up on the Sunshine Coast and went to Elphinstone Secondary. And I moved out here, lived with a family friend homestay. And I'm most proud of myself for being able to put my foot forward and continue following the arts as a passion and graduating and finishing my high school career.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell me about your passion. Your passion is dance, right?
Yes, I'm a dancer, and I've been dancing ever since I was very young. I'm very grateful for all the classes I've been in on the Sunshine Coast and feel as though I wanted to take that next step. And I looked into different options, different schools, and Langley Fine Arts seemed like a perfect fit. I did my audition and everything, and I'm so passionate about dancing. My love for it has grown so much more throughout this year. And it's just been so incredible. I love it so much.
Wow. And what about you, Corrina? What are you most proud of?
Oh, I would say definitely stepping out of my comfort zone this year. I joined like a lot of clubs. I did tons of public speaking, which would have terrified me a couple years ago. And I've met so many great people. It's been probably this grad year has been amazing. I'm very just proud of every piece of me that I've put forward and gone to explore new things. So, yeah.
That is quite a hurdle to overcome, being able to start public speaking like that. Good for you. And what are your plans for the future?
I will be heading to SFU this fall to study criminology, so I'm really excited for that. I kind of just recently got into all of that. Like last year, I took Law 12, and the criminal behavior and offenses course was really interesting to me. Same thing with psychology 12. All of that, I was like, oh, you know what? I think I want to continue this passion, and I've just been really grateful that this door has opened to me, and I'm really happy to be. I'm really excited. So.
Oh, that's excellent. Congratulations. And I can't believe you just discovered your passion for the law and criminology.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And what about you, Lizzie? What are your plans then?
In fall, I'm attending Capilano University's musical theater program. So I will continue with the arts. Musical theater, the program consists of dancing, singing, and acting. I started singing this year at Langley Fine Arts in choir, and I've grown to love it and learn a lot about it. And I'm eager to learn more, and so I'm very excited to start that in September.
Wow. Talking about Corrina was talking about getting over a fear of public speaking. I am just thinking about when I dropped off my kids' first day of grade 8, and it was small cohorts. Everybody was wearing masks, and this was once they were actually back in school in person. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like for you and how that how you've overcome that, Corrina?
I would say it was a huge jump, grade 7 to high school, and then an entire pandemic going on. It was a bit insane, a bit surreal. I think it was very hard. It was very isolating for me personally. School wasn't I wasn't at Langley Fine Arts, unfortunately, in grade 8, so I just didn't feel super fit in. I felt like it was going through everything in grade 8. It's a very turbulent kind of time for teenagers, and I don't know. It was everything all wrapped in one, and I'm really glad that eventually, kind of when we were easing out of the pandemic, and then I got into fine arts, it was one of the best decisions I ever made coming here. And my whole life did kind of a 180. But yeah, COVID was a big challenge. And I think it was just honestly one of the worst years to hit it because it was just such a pivotal moment for everyone that it felt like a really big setback for me personally. Yeah.
Yeah. I hear that. I really hear that. What about you, Lizzie?
Well, during the 2020 year, I wasn't able to dance, which was probably a big thing. A lot of people weren't able to do anything. It was very difficult for us to participate in our passions, our interests, our hobbies. We all had to persevere and push through. And really, I think I realized then that I wanted to keep following my passion, and I craved still dancing and wanted to continue. So I continued throughout my high school career on the Sunshine Coast, and then made my step to Langley Fine Arts, which was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I feel like our COVID year has defined us. We really can understand each other, just because although everyone's experience was different, we all collectively understand what we went through and how everything happened.
Yeah, you put that so well, that there's this collective experience that all of you went through. I'm so glad to have you with us. Thanks so much for being with us. And we're going to continue our conversation in the next half hour as well. I'm joined by two graduates now who have just graduated, actually just had their prom last night, and they're joining me now, but also later on in the program. Elizabeth, Mani and Corrina as well is joining me. Corrina Cardinal, both from Langley Fine Arts School. It is 12:31 now. We're going to be joined by the principal at Port Moody Secondary as well, coming up in our next half hour. I just want to share this one email that we got from Suzanne, who writes, "My youngest graduated on Friday and prom is tonight." Another child last year as well who got all dolled up and went. She has Down syndrome and a wonderful schoolmate accompanied her. My daughter has Down syndrome as well and went last night and had a blast and looked gorgeous. This year, Suzanne writes, "My other gorgeous girl is going. And a month ago, she said to me, 'Boys are lucky they get to throw on a suit and button up and they're done.' She is not a dress girl. So I went on a search and found a beautiful suit she could wear, because why should you wear a dress if it makes you feel uncomfortable? I found a beautiful butter yellow suit and matching shoes, and she looks stunning in it. Hopefully she'll be comfortable and have fun with her friends tonight." Oh my goodness, Suzanne. Yes, I'm sure she looks amazing and is going to have a blast at tonight's prom. And I'm sure your other daughter, I hope she had a blast too last year. Thank you very much for sending that email in, Suzanne. Our number, 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. Taking your comments by email as well, bctoday@cbc.ca, or on our TikTok Live. Right now it is 12:32, time for a CBC News Update with Rob Zimmerman.
Good afternoon. The overall cost of hosting the 7 World Cup soccer games at BC Place next year is estimated at close to $900 million. The province is on the hook for about 2/3 and the City of Vancouver for 1/3. But the provincial government says close to $500 million will be offset by outside revenue and sponsorships. The province suggests the event could generate $1 billion in additional visitor spending over 5 years. A single case of measles has been recorded in Kamloops. It's the first confirmed case this year in the interior. Contact tracing has started, but officials with Interior Health say the risk to the broader public is considered low. And BC Conservative leader John Rustad says he's pretty optimistic about the outcome of a review of leadership underway now. Party members began voting over the weekend, but the review won't be complete until December, when members in all 93 ridings have taken part. Rustad says he's not hearing a lot of negativity from members, except from what he calls a very small group of dissidents. And now the forecast on the North Coast. Rain this afternoon with a high of 14. Highs up to 23 with local smoke, some sunshine, and a risk of thunderstorms in the Peace. In the central interior, including Prince George, a chance of showers and thunderstorms with a high of 20. Highs in the mid-20s with a mix of sun and cloud in the Kootenays. In the southern interior, including Kelowna, some sun and cloud with a high of 23. And for Metro Vancouver, Greater Victoria, and the Fraser Valley, increasing cloudiness this afternoon with highs around 24 degrees. That's your CBC News Update from Vancouver.
Thank you very much, Rob. That's Rob Zimmerman in the CBC Vancouver newsroom. And thanks for being with us here on BC Today. We're live on Radio 1, CBC Television, and live streaming as well on CBC News, the CBC News app, as well as the CBC British Columbia YouTube page. And we are live on TikTok. And on CBC Radio 1, lots more coming up on the afternoon shows in your part of the province. For Metro Vancouver listeners, here's what's coming up on the coast.
Hi, Michelle. It's Amy Bell sitting in once again for Gloria Makarenko here on the coast. And coming up on our show today, we're going to check in with our technology columnist, Takara Smalls. She checks in with us every Tuesday to share us what's coming up and new in the tech area. We'll also share some advice for grads as we enter the last week of school for many students. On the Coast is on the air starting at 3. I hope you can join us.
Thanks very much for that, Amy. Looking forward to it. That's Amy Bell with On the Coast coming up this afternoon. And we've been taking your thoughts on the FIFA World Cup costs, new costs estimates just released from the province. And we have this email. Revenue should be put into providing better transit during the Olympics. TransLink had buses every 15 minutes from the ferries. And now we wait an hour, extend the SkyTrain to the ferries. Okay, so an argument there for putting some of that funding, or putting that funding from the revenue, rather, from FIFA into transit. And Anna writes, the proposed 2026 FIFA in Vancouver would be an appalling waste of money. Didn't we learn from the 2010 Winter Olympics? We don't need another party for the wealthy at the expense of everyone else. BC Today at cbc.ca. Thanks very much. .36 now. You're with BC Today. I'm Michelle Elliott, and it is the final days of high school for grade 12 students across BC. And students, though, are heading into a very complex world. We're speaking with 2 graduating students right now about what their high school career has been like, and we're digging into how our next generation is preparing for the future, but also how to shape it.
Hi, my name is Ria, and I'm graduating from high school, and I'm going into real estate.
Congratulations on graduating. What are your future plans?
Well, I plan on going to Langara College and starting my studies there. And I'm actually transferring to my second year in UBC Sauder. And yeah, I plan to major in real estate there. And yeah, have a future career in that, hopefully.
Amazing. What are you most excited about?
I'm most excited about like this new chapter in my life, meeting new people, and just seeing what the future holds after high school.
Amazing. What was your favorite part about high school? And what advice can you sort of give high schoolers that are currently in today?
The advice I give to current high schoolers is to always just stay open to change, because change is always happening. Like, you may think that your future might look one way, but it's always changing. So you should always be open to that.
Yeah, wise words. And that was a high school grad speaking to our UBC intern, Beta Chan. And we're asking you about any grads that you're celebrating. This week is the week, and asking you about your favorite prom memories as well. And if you are a graduating student, let us know what it means to you to be part of the class of 2025. How are you celebrating, and what are your plans? Okay, here are the numbers. 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. You can also email us, bctoday@cbc.ca. And I'd like to welcome back 2 of my guests, Elizabeth, Mani, and Corrina Cardinal, both graduating students from the Langley Fine Arts School. Welcome back, you two.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And joining us now as well in studio is Andrew Lloyd, who's the principal of Port Moody Secondary School. Hello, thanks for being here.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
I understand your school had its prom on the weekend.
Yeah, on Saturday. Yeah.
How did it go?
Great. Kids had a good time, and it was a day and an evening for them to celebrate a lot, and it was a great event.
You know, I was at the dropping off last night at the prom, and I saw the principal walk by, and I was like, what a day. I mean, what's it like for you as a principal to be amidst all that, everyone dressed up, just this buzz of excitement in the air? What was that like for you?
I think when you see all the students come to the dinner dance and how excited they are to be dressed up and celebrate, and particularly for us, there was a great video montage put together by the graduating class. So
Yeah.
it gave you a real sense of how much they care about each other. So it's always a special evening, and they always say the next part, the commencement, is for the parents, not the students. So we'll see how that goes.
What does that mean?
What that means, I think, is that the parents have a great opportunity to see their kids cross the stage and all the 13 years of raising them, and they get to celebrate that.
That is so true. We've already had ours, and so I've had my moment for sure. You know, something that I asked Lizzie and Corrina was, this grad class has a unique experience in that they started out amid the pandemic, and so they shared, really astutely how that all affected them as grade 8 students and what they had to overcome. You know, what has that been like for you? What was that like shepherding this class?
I think
that year?
I think in Port Moody in School District 43, students in their grade 8 year, they're in middle school. So when they got to high school, they were into COVID, but it didn't impact a lot of, say, the leaving ceremonies for grade 8. But I think it's had an impact on how the students view the world and what's important to them. And it shines a light on that even more. And I think that's why you see the closeness of a lot of students in their grad classes, because they've been through something very unique that others hadn't.
Yeah. What are some of the conversations you have with graduating students right now? What's that like?
I think some of the big ones is whether are they doing a gap year? Are they going to travel? Are they going to go to school? But the big one I hear from not only being a principal, but a high school basketball coach coaching senior teams is they're worried about how much the cost of living, how the jobs that they're looking for. They do a lot of soul searching into finding a great career, but they're very astute in how much money they need to live in this world. And it's a cool conversation to have with students like that, because they're already looking at their career beyond just having a job.
You know, that is really interesting. It is the world that they are stepping out into. It's complex, as I mentioned. Part of it is the affordability factor. I'm sure they already hear it from everyone else around them. Corrina and Lizzie, you spoke so well about why you're passionate about going into criminology, about going into theater. How do you feel about what that means for you as a career? Does that weigh on you at all, or is that a factor, Lizzie?
So the arts is a very difficult career to get into. You need to have connections. You need to know people, be bold, be outgoing. So there's always a bit of uncertainty going into the arts, wondering if I'll get a job or if that audition will go well or not. So I'm going to try. I'm going to attempt to follow my dreams and see if I can make a career, or maybe just a couple of years of working on cruise ships or get a gig somewhere, maybe join a company. Ideally, head to Broadway, be on the stage and whatnot. But it just takes time and effort, and you can't give up.
Do you have a dream musical or play that you'd like to be a part of?
Dream musical for me might be, I would love to be a backup dancer in any musical that has like that realness of just aesthetic and a background vibe to it. I think Mamma Mia has a wonderful set to it. I really enjoyed Wicked. I've seen so much of it.
I wondered if that was going to come up. Yeah.
So good, so incredible. And that is like my absolute goal, is to just be out there dancing. So if that doesn't go well, I mean, who knows? Teaching could always be a good way to follow through with my passion as well.
Well, why not all of it? I mean, yeah, I love the dreaming. I think you got to hold on to those dreams.
Yes, it's hard. It's very hard. I won't lie. Yeah.
What about for you, Corrina? How does whether you can make a career out of what you're pursuing, how much does that factor into your decision making around pursuing criminology?
It was a pretty big factor for me personally. It's not that I didn't want to go into the arts because I didn't think like it would turn out that way. I am so proud of all the kids that are persevering that, especially in like a world where, AI is being huge, especially like as a visual art major. But like criminology was just another passion for me. And I think like earlier there was someone was talking about like not being afraid to change. And I've always kind of been open, like having a open mind is very valuable. And so even if criminology doesn't work out for me, I'm open to switching to something that maybe will make money, but I'm still passionate about. I don't solely go into something just because like it might make a living wage or it might work out better. I think, having something you're passionate about, having something that will like really lead you somewhere in life, like and have you like be happy, and I think that's a very important factor to consider, especially as well as money.
Yeah, it has to be sustainable. You have to want to be in it for the long term. That's a really good point. We have an email from Peter in Vancouver. My son Yurgios graduated about 12 years ago, and at the graduation ceremony, when he went to the stage to get his diploma, his fellow students started chanting his name. It was amazing. Yeah, what a moment. What a moment for your son. Thank you so much for that email, Peter. Our numbers, again, love to hear from you. What are your own memories of prom, of graduation? And if you are a grad, love to hear from you. What does it mean to be part of the grad class of 2025? And what are your plans for the future? How are you celebrating? Love to hear from you. 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone as well. Our email, like Peter just did, bctoday@cbc.ca. And if you're watching us on TikTok, we'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Any grads you're celebrating, love to hear from you too. Now, I'm joined by the principal of Port Moody Secondary as well, Andrew Lloyd, here in studio. What do you think of that? Like, has that changed at all? That feeling of, that sort of tension between I'm going to pursue my dreams and I'm going to try and make a go at something that I can make a living out of, especially the context of the uncertainty in the economy that we're facing right now.
I think, as the two student guests said, I think it's awesome that they stay with what their passions are. So I think that you still see that, right? If you're going to pursue a career, you want to love your career.
Yeah.
But I think the students are very much they're thoughtful in how they go about the steps to their career and the money that they need to make, right? I think that university, for many students, when I went to university, is critical thinking. You want to learn about the world, and that's still important, as we heard. But there's a focus on a living wage and doing well in their career. And I think that's an astute perspective for kids.
Do you have former students come to visit you very often? And what do you hear from them?
Yeah, former students, former players. I taught for many years, so they come and they visit. And they talk about wanting to pursue their passions, their ability to switch between careers, and just the experience that they had at high school and how much they call high school home and it's a place to come back to. But yeah, it's more around those memories as opposed to what they might be doing. I think sometimes they come back because they want to be grounded to a place.
Oh, isn't that interesting? Yeah. What can you tell me more about that? What high school, the building and the community can provide in terms of a place that is a place you called home for so many years.
Yeah, I think in the videos that I saw from my daughter's graduation this year from the high school she went to and from Port Moody Secondary School, you see how much they love being around each other. We talk about grad pranks. We don't see a lot of those. We see kids doing stuff at the end of the year that celebrates their connectiveness to one another, and that's the best part of it. So they have a place they can come home to because they feel comfortable for 4 years or 5 years.
Yeah. So no one's doing pranks anymore?
I would say the pranks that we see are they're very wholesome. They're not, there's not silliness, and that just says a lot about the maturity and the integrity that students have for the building that they call home.
Yeah, Lizzie, you were smiling a bit there. Have you seen pranks? And what kinds of things are people kind of aware of the impact they're having on others when they do that.
Corrina would also know our grad prank was not very effective as a prank. It was more, we had a beach party and all dressed up in beach attire and just walked around the halls with a big speaker singing some music once every couple hours throughout the day. So yeah, we choose to respect the place that we're in and love it and grow connected. But even our principal kind of mentioned, like, wow, not a great prank, but thank you for being nice to the
thumbs
school.
Thumbs up for the effort. Yeah. But that sounds great to me. You guys bursting into song every couple hours?
Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah, it was so good.
You don't sound impressed.
It was so bizarre. I didn't even know what to expect. I mean, I don't know anything to expect coming into fine arts for 1 year and only 1 year. Like every single day is new for me, so I just kind of go along for the ride.
Corrina, what did you think of that prank?
I loved it. Our school is a K-12 school, so they got like all of the elementary kids in the hallways and they danced with us, and like we had beach balls throwing around. I really loved it. Like, I get it was more of like not really a prank, more of just like a silly fun party. Yes. But I think it was fun for everyone. It wasn't, harmful in any way. Everybody, got a laugh out of it. I think it was probably one of my favorite pranks.
I mean, that's a success in itself. That's kind of what you were talking about, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not making it up. We have the truth right here from the two students.
What about, you talked about the concerns around affordability. There are a lot of concerns around the world right now. There's, Corrina, you mentioned AI and what impact that's going to have as well. So is there a certain uncertainty or anxiety that among students as they head out into the real world?
I would say there is, but not the traditional one that many people talk about. I see far more students, my children included, that go away to university. So they go to Ontario, they go to the States, they go to different places. So I think there's that worry about how am I going to handle that transition, being away from home for the first time.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more courage to go outside of the four walls of your home, if you will, and go to another place. And I think maybe that's part of when you come back to your high school, you feel grounded there, or as the one guest here said, you respect your home, and I think that's an important thing. But in terms of, I don't think kids talk a lot about their anxiousness around world politics. It's more of, there's some affordability, but I think it's just the day-to-day stuff. I'm going to be on my own schedule now, not a bell schedule for high school.
There's that. That's something that I've talked to my kids about, is you're in charge of your own schedule and making sure that you're on track.
Yeah.
What's your advice for people to do that?
I'm hopeful that they're already on track to a degree. They've been able to follow a schedule at high school and get into a bit of a routine. I think that's the biggest thing. When you wake up on September 4th or 5th, the day after Labor Day, and you don't have to go to classes. So creating that routine for yourself so you build onto it and scaffold it as you get older and have success.
How are you guys feeling about that? I know today's kind of an off day, but come September, Corrina, how do you plan to, are you thinking about that? No one is going to be on, following me around or on me or asking me how I'm doing with a certain project. Like you're going to have to do this on your own.
Yeah, I would be lying if I wasn't saying, I would be lying if I didn't say I wasn't a little bit nervous about it. But I think independence and learning how to navigate on your own is a really important skill. And I feel like I've been set up pretty well for it. So I'm not too terrified. I'm pretty excited for being able to build something for my future step by step, and doing it kind of on my own is a blessing and also a bit, scary all in one.
Yeah, I can imagine. What about for you, Lizzie? How are you thinking about that?
Well, I think the teaching system is going to be very different. I find that our teachers at high school are always looking out for us. It's really an amazing connection that we have. And once, we take that step to university, it's going to be very independent. And we're going to have to make sure we get our own work on time, that we get to our own classes, because attendance does not really matter once you actually go to university. So you kind of got to get yourself there, and you got to stay motivated. And so I'm I'm nervous, but I also like I'm excited for it. I'm ready to like be on my own and truly kind of see what life is from my eyes and everything.
Yeah, it gives you a sense of agency, doesn't it? Someone is calling us about pranks, and Keith is on the line in Vancouver. Hi, Keith. Welcome to the show.
Thanks very much. How are you?
I am fine. Thanks so much for calling in. And so, what are your own memories? I guess.
Yeah, they're a little distant now, but still very fresh. I was hearing the conversation before about pranks, and I was a little let down by the walking through the school with music. But what we did was we had a scavenger hunt of about 25 items. For the most part, didn't do any damage to the community. But we had things like pink flamingos. So in Halifax, pink flamingos for birthdays, which they do out here a little bit. But we had that, bowling ball, bowling pin, a recycling garbage can, a flag off the Ultramar gas station, which was quite funny because I went by the next day and they said, I said, your flag is gone. And they're like, yeah, there's no flag. I said, well, what happened? Well, we heard noise on the roof at about midnight, and now the flag is gone. So that was my friend Jason who got the flag. So, again, little damage there, but nothing too crazy. And but
was it
ultimately
fun?
we get a... Pardon?
Was it fun for you?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. But ultimately, nobody got the bowling pin or they got the bowling ball, but not the pin because I was driving. If I wasn't driving, I would have got the pin. But a few days later, we got a call from the police, and the first question I swear that they asked me was, they said, "Mr. Freeman, how was your scavenger hunt?"
Oh.
And I said, "It was quite good. Thank you for asking." And he said, "There's a few things that need to be returned to the community." One of them was the number off Mark's house because when Jimmy ran in to get something, he took the electric screwdriver and took the number. We knew I wasn't cheating. We would have the numbers on 1, 2, or 7. So we happened to live at 72, whatever. So we took the number off the house. So nothing too major, a little bit of inconvenience, but really fun just the same. So great prank and great fun.
Thanks for sharing your memory, Keith. Corrina and Lizzie, I hope that you leave high school with some really fabulous memories. One of them would be your own high school prank, but savor those memories, and all the best to you starting your new lives. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew, thanks as well for joining us. Thanks for being here.
Very welcome. Thanks.
That's Andrew Lloyd, principal at Port Moody Secondary, and Elizabeth Mani and Corrina Cardinal are graduated. They're graduated from Langley Fine Arts School. Congratulations to both of them. That's it for us today. You can email us too, bctoday@cbc.ca. Let us know about your own high school grad memories.